So when you're working with artists that don't understand the process, does it make you excited to explain? Can you explain that? Why?
Sure. No, it's really great because, interestingly enough, you know, a lot of people are musicians and have been in the industry in one way or another for a long time, yet they don't quite know how to get nominated or win a Grammy. I think people feel like you just get to a certain level of prominence and then all of a sudden you're recognized. But there really is a process by which to, you know, be nominated or
so
to
the
win.
Grammys is beyond that 1 month of
That
the
one
awards.
show,
It's year long.
Yeah, I think it's important to make that distinction too because, you know, the Grammys is the telecast that happens in February every year. But there are 364 other days of the year where we are the biggest advocates for the music community in the world. You know, we have all sorts of programs. We have, you know, we're a functional company. We have a marketing department. We have a membership department. We have the awards department is where I work. I'm in the awards department. And, you know, at this point, we just opened up the entry period for the upcoming 58th Grammy Awards that opened up on July 1st. So we're already receiving in music that's going to be considered, you know, for the upcoming show.
So who enters music during that process? Is it artists, labels? Can you explain to people?
If you're a member of the Recording Academy or if you're a media company that's registered with the Recording Academy, you're able to submit music into our process. And once the music starts to come in, our job in the awards department is to verify everything. So we're checking spellings, we're looking at release dates. You know, the music has to fit within our eligibility window, which is October 1st of 2014 through September 30th of 2015. So the recording has to have been released within that window to be eligible. But, you know, at that point, once the music is coming in, we're really just going through, we're listening to it, you know, doing an initial sort of sorting of the music and screening it before we get to our actual screening meetings.
So in the screening meetings, can you tell those that don't know who are at the screening meetings?
Well, I can tell you the type of people that are at the screening meetings. We try to keep all of our committees relatively confidential, and some of them strictly confidential, primarily to protect the people on the committees from solicitations. As you can imagine, if you're on a committee and people don't understand the process, then they're like, hey, you know, I should be nominated, or this should be nominated, or why wasn't that nominated? So ultimately, the screening meetings, we have 23 screening committees, and basically we get together in a room with industry professionals. We have label executives, we have artists, producers, songwriters, and for all of the entries that have come in, last year we ended up having about 22,000 entries. With that, over 50,000 physical products come in as well. So we're getting vinyl, we're getting, you know, CDs, you know, box sets, et cetera, that are all, you know, being entered into our process. And so we go into the screening meeting, and in this room, we're playing all of this music, and it's up to the professionals in that room to determine where the music is going to land on the ballot that goes out to the voting membership. So that's where, you know, conversations about whether or not an artist should be considered rap or pop, or whether they should be considered R&B or blues, you know, it's in that room where that's decided. And they're not judging the music in the screening meetings. They're literally just sorting it and making sure that it finds a home on the ballot that goes out. So for instance, if you did a rock album, right? Let's say you did a rock album this year. This room would be charged with listening to that album and making sure that it's eligible for that category. We wouldn't just put you in R&B because you're traditionally an R&B artist. It's literally about the music. We're very specific. We tell them, you know, please don't take chart position into account, don't take radio play into account. Listen to the music and, you know, make sure that it fits within the appropriate category.
So I can switch genres if I wanted to. That's great. I didn't know that.
You can. You can.
Entries aren't nominations. A lot of people are, you know this.
Yeah. No, that's
Entries are not nominations. People have to, think that it has to go through that process. My question is, what is the difference between an entry and a nomination? We need to explain that.
Sure. So an entry is essentially anything that fits within our eligibility guidelines. So that window of release time, we have some baseline criteria. So it has to be a new recording, can't have been previously released, et cetera. That's an entry. That's what ends up going on the ballot that goes out to the voting membership. A nomination, on the other hand, is when, once the voting has been completed, you're then nominated if you are one of the top vote getters in that category. And so there's definitely a very important difference. And you'll know, once you're a nominee, we make sure to reach out to you, congratulate you, and there's a whole, we'll get to it later, but there's a whole sort of process that you go through once you're nominated. It's important that we're always communicating to the music community that we're not picking winners at the Academy. We are not choosing the winners. I don't get to even vote. Our job in awards is simply to administer and manage the process. So that's an important distinction to know, that it really is the music community saying, as your peer, we feel like you were the best this year. And so ultimately, we obviously all have opinions, and, we love music, and, we get really passionate about it internally, but we have no say. Deloitte, who is our third-party accounting firm, they handle all of that for us. They handle all of the ballots and all of the voting procedures. It goes through them. And so, we don't touch the completed ballot ever. It's really, up to the music community to make that decision. I think we're often seen as an institution on the Hill that is untouchable, but reach out to us. Reach out to me, Kelly, anyone here that's a representative of the Academy. We're here to help. It's, I really always like to emphasize that it's not us versus y'all. It's not us versus the industry. It's not us versus artists. We are nothing without artists, and we love music, and we love the artists. So, we're making a really concerted effort.
So there's actual people there
actually
that are friendly. It's not the whiz behind a curtain.
Exactly.
It's a real people there to help and give information. So people can go to their local chapter and actually get to know each other, and go to other chapters when you're in town.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's what we hope. Yeah.
Can you talk more about the why the Grammys hasn't decided to use, we keep using paper ballots and not, doing it digitally. Can you explain that?
Sure.
Why haven't you upgraded, basically? That's what they say all the time.
Yeah, no, we get a lot of that. We get a lot of questions when it's time for balloting, like, man, it's 2015. Like, why are you guys still doing paper ballots? Right? But, as you can imagine, there are incredible security risks to making such a drastic change like that. And if you recall, especially in the last couple of years, there have been some major media companies, Sony being one of them, whose information, their systems were infiltrated. And, we have a 57-year-old brand to protect. And the confidentiality and the integrity of the awards process and, the system that we have in place right now works. So while it may not feel convenient, it works for us. But please know that we've absolutely been investigating this. We've been meeting with companies. We're very interested in taking that next step, but we're not going to do it unless it's 100% correct and safe, and everybody feels good and is able to sleep at night knowing that, it's out there. Because once it's out there, it's out there.
Can you introduce Joanne, who knows a lot about this process?
Sure. I'd love to introduce the managing director of the awards department, Joanna Chu, my colleague. It's great to have her here.
Thank you, everybody. Well, I'm just here for moral support and to pass our quiz for all of you, for everything that they just said. But if you have any questions for us about any part of the process, we'll welcome any questions and we'll answer them.
Is there people thinking about the people when they are making decisions, not just for the award show, but the process and everything that's involved in the Recording Academy? Do you listen to the peers out there and what people are thinking of the show? That was a question I had as an artist.
Absolutely.
Sorry, y'all. Hashtag, don't forget, hashtag.
Yeah, hashtag
Grammys at Essence. Thank you.
Absolutely. I can start. You can jump in, but absolutely, every single touch point is thought about. I love to say that the truth is, it's your academy. It really is your academy. We're administering the processes, right? But there are ways to get involved. We invite you to get involved. If you want to make changes, if you want to, if you're a member, and throughout the year, we're receiving dozens and dozens of proposals for new categories or new rules changes, et cetera. And we listen to them all, we read them all, and they all go into what's called, we have an awards and nominations committee meeting in the spring, where we invite in industry professionals to come in and review all these proposals. And if it makes sense, these proposals then are, they're voted on in that meeting. If it passes there, it then goes up to the Board of Trustees to be ratified into the following year's process. I say all that to say that, again, that has to come from the community.
The community,
and
from
we
us,
welcome
members.
it. You from the members, right? We,
Yes.
We're stomping all year saying, hey, get involved. After the show, we hear a whole lot of anger, right? And frustration sometimes. Even at some of our screening meetings, right? The people who are on those committees, they're saying, we want this rule or we want to see this happen. And we're like, okay, well, throughout the year, we're here and we can talk about it and we can get ourselves in a position to make a proposal to these committees. So it's about doing the work and really stepping up and taking ownership of the academy as the music community. It really is yours.
So as a producer, a singer, an artist, a musician, an engineer, manager with the associate membership, this is our recording academy. Our voices are heard, and that's the point of this whole panel, and I'm just egging him on all the time.
No, it's all
to show that we're human. It's us behind the scenes, it's us around the scenes, it's us in the music. That's what this is all about. And I'm so glad I don't have a script and I can act up.
Yeah, and I just want to add, only members
can
vote and then can submit changes. We don't take proposals from record label executives or anything like that. Only we want to hear from our membership. Yeah. So get involved. That's where the changes happen. Yes.
But yes, we think about the people. I'm going back to that.
Yeah, it's important that they know, though.
We love the people. We are the people, right? I got passionate about that because, again, we are out here trying to humanize the academy. We are real people who love music, who want to get it right. We don't ever want to be embarrassed. The academy never wants to be embarrassed. We never want to, and obviously we know we can't please everyone, like I said earlier, but any changes, all these changes that are, coming in or proposals, they have to make sense across the board. There has to be parity. So we can't make a change in R&B, without realizing that making this change here may affect folk music, may affect Zydeco music, may affect, another category. So we always have to keep in mind that, whenever we're making change, it has to make sense for the entire company.